Good morning. You caught me. I wasn't quite ready to be live, and now I am, and I'm unprepared. But we'll power through. Love my Charlie Faith, man. How are you, Charlie Faith? Good to see you. Hey, Boo. Hi, Skinny Nona. Good morning. Man, I can't believe y'all caught me. I thought my song was longer than that, but it really wasn't, was it? Okay. Excuse me, just a minute. Okay. All right. So Barry Morphew. Hey, Barry, because I know you watching. All right. So Barry Morphew is, I'm back in the saddle again. So he's back in the news, right? I mean, the poor guy, no matter how hard he tries, he just, he can't help himself. He can't help himself. Or he surrounds himself with people who really love the limelight. I can't figure out which one it is. But in for all intent purposes, so finally we got a real judge, we got a real lawyer on the state side, and Iris Eaton took a smackdown. She took a smackdown that was targeted, swift, and on point. I mean, there was no, Now, unfortunately, sadly, interestingly enough, this finally we get some kind of judgment that makes sense, right? Something that looks and sounds like a real live court of law coming out of Colorado. But the damn judge is retiring in 2 weeks. Why is that, Barry? If you want to link and you want to come up and talk to us a little bit about your seemingly magical, mystical control of the powers that be in the state of Colorado, and perhaps even to some extent the people of Purdue. Oops, did I say that? Indiana. How is it you control so many people except the people who are fairly immune to blackmail or something else? It's a mystery to me, but it's interesting. I like mysteries. Now, there was this obscure kind of moment in August 3rd this year, that they had recovered the body of a woman earlier in February. This was out of Clear Creek County. And the woman was said to have gone missing in February. She was finally identified August the 3rd. Her name was Melinda Tafoya del Toro, 38 years old. So you can absolutely imagine that, I think they really worked to kind of keep this quiet, because it would have been such a likely match, for the possibility of it being Suzanne. But August, it did come out that, it wasn't her. Now, there's still with Melinda Tafora del Toro, they still have not named the cause nor the manner of her death, which is very interesting, right? And so, because of the Suzanne Morphew case being such an having so much interest and attention in this area, people have really looked really hard at this case with Melinda. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to be trying to learn about Melinda, and maybe she socialized with Mr. Morphew at some point. Maybe not. Maybe they've never known each other, have no connections, nothing whatsoever. But it'd be interesting to see if there's any connections between she and Suzanne, or right? Jackie Hughes, what's shaking, baby? Hey, Lady of Angels, welcome, Cali Connect, Mississippi, good to have you. Hi, Main Girl. Hey, Skitty Nona. All right, so BBT, have you ever heard that song by Lily Allen? Thank you very much. Except I don't use the word thank you. Yeah, thought you might like to maybe give that a quick little YouTube search. Lily Allen, F you very much. You might be able to incorporate it into your work. Hey, Angie, welcome. Good morning. Okay, so let me share, or as the new we are presenting. I present to you today Matt Blanc. I love Matt Blanc. Matt Blanc is a very real proponent of justice for Suzanne. She does beautiful work. These memorial type of videos, but more importantly, does a fabulous job covering any and every Suzanne Morphew related hearing. I thought I was further into the video than this. There's Suzanne and her dad. Oh, Jesus, Jesus, welcome in. So sad. So sad. Barry. Oh, Jesus, Jesus. Barry. You know what, Barry? I don't know. It sure did sound like to me, listening to the attorney, sure did sound like to me that they're serious about bringing you back to court. Your Honor, I'm here. It's Iris Eaton. Mr. Morphew is having trouble with his Wi-Fi. Oh, I bet he is. That poor Barry. Poor Barry. He struggles so much. Work for you. And Barry. Why don't I shame on you. And get him on the phone? Oh, yeah. Let's do that. See, he doesn't really know how to manage something like a Wi-Fi. It's just way over the head. It's just too tough for old Bear, right? Black Bart. Remember when we used to call him Black Bart? On the record, who's involved directly in the case. Just give him a little call. Just give him a little ringy dingy, Iris. I'm sure he's on your speed dial. Sure. Hey guys, just a heads up. I'm going to give an official snark warning. Okay, things may get snarky this morning. You know what I mean? Okay. But you all know, who is Barry's number one fan? I even named my damn bird after that man, Barry Behind Bars. And I felt so bad for Barry Behind Bars. I got him a damn wife. Called her Fancy. Mr. and Mrs. Behind Bars.
Thank you, Mr. John.
Barry, hey, I hear you can't get on your Wi-Fi. That's okay. We're just going to give you a little ringy dingy. We're just going to let you sit on your telephone and maybe people will forget you exist. Well, guess what, Mr. Morphew? There's a lot of us out here. We will never forget who you are or what you look like.
Mr. Morphew on the phone here.
Oh, hey, Barry. Hey. How you doing?
Can you hear the court?
Howdy, Barry. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. I'm a coward, you know. I'm as long as I don't have a damn shotgun in my hand, I'm just a big old fat coward, and I gotta hide behind a little flower and a phone.
The case was dismissed without prejudice sometime back, and
April.
I did review the motion filed for the return of the property as well as the response filed by the people.
Okay, so here's the deal. Oh, Barry, well, he wants his guns. He wants his stuff back. Yeah? Because my goodness, he just doesn't have any money. He needs an Apple computer and a I think, is that a Dell or Hewlett Packard, some kind of computer. He needs I get, what's he gonna do? Is he gonna go pawn them? They were Suzanne's things. What the hell's he need it for? Oh, he wants his family picture back. Is that right, Barry? You need your family picture back to remember your lovely bride. I don't know why you need the family picture back. They're all over the internet. Just hop on down to Walgreens and they'll print you out 50 of them if you need them. What's really going on, Barry? Is this your way? Is this you and your little flowers way of trying to find out just exactly what Linda Stanley may be up to at this point? Because you're about to find out.
And the entry of the non-party motion objecting to basically the authority of the court to rule on return of the property of possessions. Let me put to rest, there's no question in this court's mind, the property in question was seized pursuant to a search warrant that was issued by the court in the early stages of the case, and certainly the court had authority to do that, as well as the court has authority to order the return of the assets if that's the order of the case. I think the court's authority is without question, and I really am not going to address that issue. I'd rather get to the substance of the response filed by the people.
Did y'all hear that? This is a real live judge. This is a judge that seems to actually know what he's doing. It's so refreshing.
It says basically, this is an ongoing investigation. Case was dismissed without prejudice. We fully intend to pursue. We think the primary suspect is Mr. Morphew, and it is an active investigation.
Did you hear that? We think that the primary suspect is Barry Morphew. Did that answer your question, Barry? Was that the information you were looking for by asking for your family picture back? Did you want to find out if they were still considering you a primary suspect?
Let me turn back to the Ms. Aitken. You're going to be the spokesperson on behalf of the defendant?
I am, Your Honor.
I am.
I'm hoping the court might address our objection.
Oh, I would like to file an objection, sir. I am the official Bear mouthpiece. And I would like to file an objection. I disagree with expanded media coverage, sir. Mr. Morphew has a great deal to hide, and it makes it hard for us to hide those things when there's actual coverage of a legal proceeding.
Expanded media coverage and also the sheriff's entry prior to any argument.
And we don't want the sheriff here. We don't like the sheriff because the sheriff knows a lot of Barry's secrets, and that we don't like either. Don't you understand, Judge? We are trying to cover up a very bad thing. Sheriffs and cameras, courtrooms, that's not working for us, Judge. And don't you know that I'm Iris Eaton? Super lawyer. Don't you know that, Judge? Don't you know who I am? We object to a sheriff being involved in court proceedings. We object to cameras coloring a lawful legal proceeding. We object. We have a lot to hide, sir.
Well, I disposed of the substance of the sheriff's argument and really don't want to deal with that because I don't think it's a real issue. As far as expanded media coverage, the court's order stands. They're entitled to it. I didn't see any harm done by their participating, any prejudice to either party.
Well, gosh, Barry, it looks like it's howdy doody time in Colorado, doesn't it? I wanted to show you something too, if I can get my, oh shoot. I need to show you, I cannot for the life of me remember the prosecutor's name. Hold on.
Party, especially Mr. Morphew. So
no, I got to go back a little bit more. Hold on. Why is it not back? See how it won't let me go back? Maybe because I'm on Twitter. I'm having trouble here, people. Houston, we have a problem. Maybe because it was live. I bet it's because it was live. Well, anyway, what I wanted to show you, you can go back and watch later. So the prosecutor is sitting here, he's reading, and she asked, she wants to object to the expanded television coverage. And the judge just quickly says, you know what? It's not a big deal. It's a minor point. And you know what? People are entitled to hear it. And the prosecutor actually stopped and looked up at the judge like, what? What? What did you say, Judge? What? What? You mean you're not walking around with an extra $1 million in your pocket, Judge? Really? Like you're really going to let us do true legal proceedings? Damn. So when you go back, watch that. It's pretty funny.
I'm considering that address.
Okay.
I want to address a reply in response to the people that this is an ongoing investigation. And I'd like to hear your comments, please.
Sure, Your Honor.
Get the feeling she may be rattled.
Barry Morphew is presumed innocent. He's no different than any other citizen in Salida and Chaffee County.
Oh, but he is, Iris. He is different. You know why? Because he's a celebrity. He's a public figure at this point, Iris. So you would be wrong that he's like everybody else. He's got his story all over about a very unusual disappearance of one Suzanne Morphew, and people have fallen in love with Suzanne.
County or in Colorado, and he has a constitutional right to his property. But the prosecution's papers, as you read, seem to continue to decimate the fundamental right of his presumption of innocence and indicate.
Leave my bear alone, damn it. Don't you know who I am, Judge? I am Iris Eaton. Don't you know that? I like Barry. And so I demand that you leave him alone. Give us what we ask for and you do just like all the other judges and get out of our way.
Barry is a killer. And they just say it's a matter of more time for them to get a morsel of evidence to prove so. He was wrongly arrested and put in jail for 5 months and prosecuted to the highest level, only to be told, oh, never mind, we actually can't prove it without finding Suzanne Morphew. And now 2.5 years later, the prosecution says they don't know where Suzanne is, if she was murdered, or by who. Now, if the last 2.5 years haven't been enough to have seized Barry Morphew's property, they want to continue keeping it ad infinitum without any legal authority or basis.
Iris, come on. Come on, girl. You're an educated woman. So am I. We both know 2 years when it comes to a murder investigation doesn't exactly qualify as ad infinitum. You know what I mean? I also don't think that Barry is completely innocent, right? And as you get all excited about getting ready to slap a slander suit on someone, stop just a minute and remember, didn't he get in trouble for a federal offense? Like something related to voting laws? I think I remember that.
This has always been a de facto punishing of him without being convicted. So we properly identified the standard. Step 1, the prosecution seized hundreds of objects and documents, and we are asking of those items that 97 of them be returned to Barry Morphew. Barry Morphew only needs to make a prima facie showing that the 97 items are his. The process.
Here's what you are hoping to avoid. Because the case was without prejudice, that means that the state of the investigation goes back to where you were before he was arrested. You know what I mean? That means that seizure of his property was lawful. And it's part of a murder investigation, Iris. But you already know that, don't you? It's not exactly your job to litigate the law. You're one of those fancy schmancy genius girls. You look for the little tiny loopholes. I get a feeling reading about your cases and the way you've litigated them, I get a feeling that you're more interested in looking at criminals as victims, people that just weren't given a chance in life. Problem is, those victims that you love to coddle and feel sorry for, those victims created nightmares for the people that they maim and kill. So while you're getting your warm fuzzies protecting Bear, you might want to stop and think about the particular hell that Suzanne might have gone through.
The prosecution is not disputing that these 97 items are owned by Barry Morphew. Step 2, the prosecution must show by preponderance of the evidence that each and every single one of Barry's 97 items are the fruit of or connected to an illegal activity. That's it.
That's not true. That's absolutely not true, Iris. It's laughable that you even went into a courtroom and said that.
So what does a prosecution assert the standard is? As a prosecution has done many times in the last 18 months since I've been on this case, they have acted in bad faith and parlayed false arguments and theories, making up their own rules for this court to attempt to convince them to take action that supports their confirmation biased and unsupported theory and wrongful prosecution of Barry Morphew. As an example, in their response, the prosecution stated, paragraph 10, that in the past, when Mr. Morphew asked for his truck and driver's license back that were seized upon his arrest in a year and a half after Suzanne's disappearance, after he was wrongly held in jail for 5 months, and after he got a bond set at the proof evident presumption grade hearing, that they said that he had a compelling reason. And because of that, the people agreed to give the items back. They sound so reasonable when you read their papers, but that's fiction. The court can refer to the motion I was forced to draft and file because they unprofessionally refused. Please see D23 filed on September 20th, 2022.
I'm
There's
so
one thing that
sorry.
is
You're
true
so
in
sad,
prosecution's
Iris.
assertion. On September 17th, after the court set a $500,000 bond over the prosecution's objection and request for a $10 million bond, I did ask Jeff Lindsay, Linda Stanley, and Mark Hurlbert for these items.
Yeah, you did. But you know what? You're not Princess Eton. You're not. You're a defense attorney. You just help criminals try to avoid the law. And occasionally you get a legitimately innocent person and you save their life. But you and I both know the majority of people are not going to go to trial unless there's a whole boatload of evidence to support it. So everybody knows. And by the way, you guys, that's not her offices. I laughed when I realized that she's using a green screen. Why did she try to choose a picture behind her that showed this big grand like boardroom? It's just so narcissistic, Iris.
In court, just after Judge Murphy left the bench to go to his chambers. These prosecutors refused and advised me that I had to get a court order. In front of the prosecutors, I asked Judge Murphy's clerk if she would please ask the court to reconvene to resolve the issue. The prosecutors quickly gathered their materials and scurried out of the courtroom before the clerk could ask the judge.
Oh, they
in order to force
scurried.
Mr. Morphew to have to file a written motion.
They forced
The clerk came
him.
out.
They scurried away like the little chipmunks that Barry murdered. 100 or more. They scurried away. Oh, oh, it's Barry, run. Barry's got a gun. They scurried about like a bunch of little chipmunks. That didn't age very well, Iris. I know you were writing for the dramatic, but it just didn't work. Yeah, but you're just not understanding. You had a weak ass judge. You had a weak ass judge that was intimidated by you, who's got property, who was across the street, essentially within the very near vicinity of Barry Morphew. You know damn well those two knew each other and came in contact, and yet no one declared it. I don't know, Iris. This judge, he shot you down pretty fast with the whole, oh, we object to expanded, coverage. You were surprised too, weren't you? I saw your face, Iris.
And Linda Stanley was still in the threshold, running out of the courtroom between the hallway and the courtroom when the clerk.
Okay, do y'all know how big the threshold is between the hallway and the courtroom? About 4 inches. It's the depth of a door. She's got Linda Stanley running through the threshold as Judge Murphy is walking in and out and having conversations. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's the Matrix. Maybe there's a glitch. I don't know. Or maybe Iris is just going with the whole, if you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, then you should baffle them with your bullshit.
Clerk asked her, Miss Stanley, will you turn over Mr. Morphew's truck and his driver's license without a court order? And Linda Stanley said, no, and walked out of the courtroom. The clerk then indicated we would have to file a motion. So we had to file a motion, which we did 3 days later on September 20th, 2021. And on October 13th, 2021, the court asked if this issue was resolved. I said no, and the prosecution reluctantly and rudely agreed for Barry to get these items from the sheriff's office. So this brings us to Stanley's Law. Stanley's Law is that step one to return the property is that Barry must give a compelling reason why he wants the items back. There is no such standard, there's no case law or other law that actually states this to be so. This is made up, and they cannot manifest Stanley's Law to become Colorado law. Stanley Law reasons to refuse Barry Morphew his own property because Barry only wants these items so the people can't prosecute the case him in the future. And the court denied a dismissal without prejudice because they gave a good faith reason why it should be dismissed without prejudice. And
Horrible,
it is Barry trying to
AJ.
make end runs around the judge's
Obscene.
ruling based on their good faith rationale and inhibit their investigation. So far, this one paragraph in the prosecution's motion attempts to sway this court with incorrect law, incorrect facts, and baseless and frankly disgusting motives of Mr. Morphew.
You are so wrong.
And more so to scare you, Judge, threatening you that if you give this property back, they won't be able to prosecute Barry Morphew. They said it might be impossible because they would be able to prosecute Mr. Morphew otherwise.
Iris, you are a super lawyer. She's a super lawyer. Iris, when's the last time you heard about somebody, a department returning evidence that was lawfully collected before a trial? Iris, it's so crazy.
But what they have failed to do 5 months after we filed this motion was explain how each and every one of the 97 items are fruit of or connected to criminal activity. Why they need each and every one of the items. In our opinion, they have defaulted their right at this point to object. Their objection is without any legal reasoning and more of their bad faith and punishing conduct. And no, the court did find that they didn't act in bad faith when they dismissed the case without prejudice 9 days before 1,000 jurors were summoned to come to trial. That is because they convinced this court they suddenly needed to find Suzanne. It was their ethical duty, and that they were, as they say on April 19th, 2022, close to discovering the victim's body.
Well, actually, it had more to do with the fact that your little buddy, Judge Murphy, gutted the witness list. That would be a more accurate description of what happened, Iris.
And the quote, weather complicated the efforts, unquote. It has been 6 months and a blazing hot summer. Nothing. The judge made a ruling based on their
fire
good faith representations, which now are nothing less than avoiding a rightful acquittal and exoneration of their false claims and accusations. They also reason they dismissed the case in good faith due to the court's rulings. Court rulings that they had violated discovery rules by pattern of neglect. Court orders that they violated that caused them and the court to strike 11 of 16 of their experts, their own doing. The rulings stand, they did not appeal the ruling. So now they argue in their pleading that you should treat this case like Barry was never arrested. Is this good faith? Does this look like a good faith argument to you when they convinced the court that they were close to finding Suzanne's body 6 months ago? And again now in their pleading, these prosecutors are trying to convince you of some notion of some made up Stanley law and standard that they can hold Barry Morphew's property ad infinitum. As they stated in paragraph 11.
Again, Iris, really? 2 years ad infinitum? Really? Do we need a definition, Iris? Ugh.
That if Barry was never arrested, he could never get his property back. They asserted that they don't know whether any of the items are relevant, and they may not have a, quote, inkling whether these 97 items are relevant to illegal activity. They are arguing that they have the immense authority to issue a search warrant.
Get off the pillow.
They are arguing they have
Barry,
the immense
get off the
authority
damn
to issue a
pillows.
search warrant and never have.
Barry, damn it. Get off the pillows, Barry. God, what an asshole.
To give property back if they say they don't know if they will ever need it and can't show it is tied to criminal activity. And to add to this, they're absolutely fine and support the police prosecuting the case. They didn't even file an objection when the sheriff tried to enter their appearance. This case is not in the same posture as it was before Mr. Morphew was arrested, nor should the court be encouraged to have amnesia about what this case would look like if Barry were never arrested and reset this case back a year and a half, because the case was filed. And the reason we are here today is because they made misrepresentations to the court, violated court orders and discovery rules, and why they were forced to dismiss this case. That is why their bad faith and misconduct should be considered when considering their baseless arguments. So let's look at the case like the way they want to look at it before Barry was arrested. Well, before Mr. Morphew was arrested, an affidavit to arrest him without bond that was filled with inaccuracies and falsehood had not yet been filed with this court, causing Mr. Morphew to be in jail for 5 months without a bond. Before Mr. Morphew was arrested, DNA evidence was not withheld from this court in making determinations regarding probable cause. As Judge Lama stated in his order on April 8th, 2022.
And as we all know,
the defendant
Iris,
sat in jail for 5 months on a no bond.
No drama Lama is your friend, isn't he? Yes. We learned that Judge Lama, we learned that he's a friend of Iris, or maybe it's Barry. Maybe he's just a buddy with Barry. He was a team player, wasn't he, Iris? Yeah. Old Judge Lama, the good old days. You remember the good old days, Iris? You remember when you could just tell the judge what you wanted and he would just say, "Sure, Iris, no problem." You remember that? Yeah. Those days may be over, Iris.
On hold prior to receiving a PEPG and preliminary hearing on August 9th, 10th, 23rd, and 24th, 2021. The judge who found probable cause and set a no bond hold was not told that unknown foreign male DNA was found on various items at the crime scene or in the alleged victim's car at the time of signing the warrant for Mr. Morphew's arrest. See affidavit at 44 to 45. If the judge had known at the time of reviewing the arrest warrant about foreign unknown male DNA and CODIS matches of out-of-state cases, he may not have required Mr. Morphew to sit in jail for 5 months pending the PEPG and preliminary hearing. Before Mr. Morphew was arrested, the prosecution had not withheld evidence of innocence, misstated facts, and not asserted a theory of murder without any evidence. In that April 8th, 2021 order, the court says, most obvious and egregious violation, the CODIS matches. The court finds articulable prejudice suffered by the defense because of people's failure to disclose some of this material. The people argued that the information pertained to an ongoing investigation and not discovery. The court wholeheartedly disagrees with this sentiment. But the court said, also, if this ongoing investigation produces information that claiming against guilt, it must be disclosed. Even in more serious situations such as this, where the defendant was held on a no bond hold for 5 months, the prosecution circumvented their obligation to disclose exculpatory information by deliberately avoiding taking notes or reducing statements to writing. The prosecution said to disclose clearly exculpatory information. Also, before Mr. Morphew was arrested, the people spent, as they say, 2 quote-unquote unrelenting years searching for Suzanne Morphew in and around Salida with no results, searching the mountains, the flatterlands, testing multiple pieces of evidence. Also, before Mr. Morphew was arrested, they had almost all of the 97 items that Mr. Morphew owns. And they didn't include those items in the affidavit to arrest him. Those items didn't lead them to find Suzanne, nor as any evidence of Mr. Morphew's illegal conduct. Before Mr. Morphew was arrested, the prosecution had not fired the CBI's case agent from the case. For as Linda's family testified on March 4th, 2022, he was not sticking to Mark Robert's script in the preliminary hearing regarding the DNA evidence. Before Mr. Morphew was arrested, CBI officials contacted Sheriff Speasy and asked him to stand down and not arrest Mr. Morphew. And now, 18 months later, not being any closer to probable cause or being able to arrest anyone for the disappearance of Suzanne Morphew, this is where we stand. And let's talk about after Mr. Morphew was arrested and the case was setting up for trial. None of these 97 physical items were used in the preliminary hearing, in any hearing, or were going to be used in the prosecution's case. Zero. Nothing that they hadn't already photographed or downloaded. And after Mr. Morphew was arrested and jailed for 5 months, the court found the DA had violated the pretrial publicity order and committed a pattern of reckless discovery violations, all actions to shortcut and try to wrongfully convict Mr. Morphew. And then the big one that we talked about. After Mr. Morphew was arrested, the DA dismissed the case without prejudice on the basis that finding Suzanne was imperative to any prosecution, and they have a good faith basis that for the weather and snow and half conditions in April, they would not be able to do so before the trial. The prosecution's reasoning here should be questioned once again as we litigate the matter of Mr. Morphew's property. The standard is clear. It's not Stanley's law. Any other process would be legislating and violating the United States and Colorado Constitution, depriving Mr. Morphew of his property without legal basis. Our laws do not
Never
allow
get back and it's root for the home
That is absurd.
team. If they
If they
don't
filed
win,
a
it's a
search
shame. And
and
it's
said, "We have no
1,
idea
2,
that any of
3
this
strikes.
is
You're out at
connected to
the
a
old
disappearance. Would you sign
Barry
it?"
game.
If they said, "We don't have any inkling of what is relevant, no inkling of what's connected to an illegal criminal activity," and if you did sign it, Judge, what court of law would allow them to keep this forever? At this time, we request the prosecution put a witness on the stand to clear up their good faith assertions that Suzanne's body was buried under the snow. We also request that the prosecution put a witness on the stand and go through each and every one of the 97 items of Mr. Morphew's and
You
show
can
by
ask
preponderance
all
of the
you
evidence
want,
that each and one of
but
them
there's a
is
new
connected
sheriff
to
in
illegal
town,
criminal
Iris.
activity. They need to demonstrate a need for each and every
Is
one
that
of these
right?
items that they have
They
had for
need
2.5
to
years.
demonstrate a need,
When they have
according
not
to Iris.
articulated
The
at all
world, according
why
to
or how they need them.
Iris.
Many
Sorry,
of these
girl.
97 items have been and can be photographed or downloaded, Your Honor.
Oh, so now you're going to tell
Just
them how to do their
looking at the
job?
list.
Is that
Number
right,
one,
Iris?
a thumb drive. Number 20, financial documents from Barry Morphew's truck that includes titles and tax documents that have stymied Barry Morphew's ability to conduct business
Oh,
and
Barry
personal
can't
action.
conduct business,
Number 32,
y'all.
the HP
Barry's
laptop
not
has
able to
already been
conduct
downloaded, Your Honor.
business. Isn't that
Number
a sad
33, the
thing?
Mac laptop, downloaded already. Number
He
34,
needs that
Apple
MacBook.
iPad, already downloaded. Number 35, Kindle, already.
Hey, y'all know what he needs the MacBook for? Yeah. Remember that YouTube channel that he was watching? Barry, you are a dirty little boy.
Downloaded. Number 36, a letter from Barry to Suzanne. They already have taken a photograph of it. Various journals and notebooks and letters. Number 43, tax documents needed for Barry to file his tax.
Okay, just shut up, Iris. Ugh, my ears are tired. There's only one other voice on this planet that makes my ears so tired. Just one other voice. Iris and one other person makes my ears so weary. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Iris believes that she's still in control. And I think every one of us watching this believed that that's the way it was all going to unfold. Correct? No, true Tome. No, or true to me. No, she doesn't. There's none of this dazzle them with brilliance. I know her kind. I've sat and listened to 100 or more dissertations by this kind. They go with, since I'm not particularly brilliant, I'll just talk fast, stand with a lot of confidence, and just say a lot of confusing things. And then everybody will think, well, gosh, she must be smarter than I am. So I clearly don't understand what she's saying to me. Ugh. Just now, what I want to draw attention to is this. Notice how much she's talking, right? And so fast. She creates chaos. That is her MO. She is doing it with awareness. Yeah, Barry's messing with the damn pillows. You know, it's like corralling a damn kindergartner. So this is her MO, to use a lot of words, talk fast, use big words if possible, baffle them with bullshit, and then hope, things go your way, right? I want you to notice how much passion she's put into this. If you guys are watching this and you're thinking, gosh, she really likes Barry. Like, she's really invested in him, getting off scot-free. Put a 1. If you're watching this and you're thinking, I wonder, is this caffeine or Mountain Dew or cocaine? Put a 2. Let's see what everybody's thinking right now. What do you think it is? You think this is passion for the innocence of her client? Or do you think it's more of a stimulant type of problem? That empty animal tranquilizer case in the laundry, in the dryer, was very telling and creepy. And you got to remember, which they haven't really talked too much about, his shorts were the only piece of clothing that was in that dryer. It was the bed sheets from Mallory's bed. It was the tranquilizer cap and Barry's shorts. Gosh, Barry, almost like you popped the lid off of that tranquilizer dart and you put it in your pocket out of what? Complete and total habit. Yeah, Barry. There's people watching you that are smarter than Linda Stanley. Like, I don't know, AK maybe? Yeah, so see, we got a lot of people in here and not a single one, I don't think, put a 1. Oh, she's passionate about Barry's innocence. No, I think everybody's like, wow, lay off the coffee, Iris. Lay off the coffee, girl. Or get a new method of operation, because it's fairly unimpressive at this point. And speaking of impressive, if you've enjoyed this, please hit the thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And let's finish this thing. Ugh, this woman, my poor ears. Makes my ears numb.
And re-enter society. Number 45, 46, and 49, documents, receipts. Number 53. Number 58, a family portrait. What is it about this family portrait that will lead them to finding Suzanne? 81, miscellaneous paperwork from gun safe. 94, tax documents. Some items don't make any sense at all. Number 26, AirPods. Number 31, a suitcase. What about these items that were seized a year after Suzanne went missing and 2.5 years later, when Barry was arrested, are linked to criminal activity? How about number 22, 3, 23, 24, 25 trail cameras, number 37 to 39 trail cameras that had SD cards that they can keep? They can keep the SD cards. Give the cameras back. The court might know that Barry is a hunter, and right now he has authority to use a bow and an arrow. But he shares ownership of many of the firearms with his daughter, Mallory Morphew, and many of the guns that were seized in the gun safe. They can swab them. But this is the truth, Your Honor. They're not even evidence. Because Mr. Hurlburt said on March 30th, 2022, in response to Judge Mama's question about whether or not firearms are essential evidence in this case, Mr. Hurlburt says, Judge, I think the fact that we did not find any blood anywhere in the house, a knife wound would have, or knife murders, I've seen gun murders, there's always blood in the house. There was nothing found in the house. There's no blood found in the house. And I'm reading from this transcript right here. So
you know why, Iris?
That Mr. Morphew bought after Suzanne went missing. Number 28, the one he bought at Salina Gun Shop. What?
Thank you, Iris. Gosh. Okay. No blood in the house, no blood in the house, no blood in the house, right? Maybe, Iris, just maybe, perhaps that's where the tranquilizer came into play. Yeah? So he gets out of his truck. He gets the little gun ready with the little dart, puts the cap in his pocket out of habit, walks around, shoots Suzanne with the tranquilizer. And once she's asleep, then he picks her up and loads her up in something and carries her deep into the woods somewhere and does the dirty deed there. That's why you wouldn't have dogs that were hitting on trauma, nor would you have dogs that were going on blood smell. So keep talking, lady. Just keep talking.
What about all the arrows? Number 8, number 30, number 59, number 97. There's no blood. It's already been confessed. His property is sentimental, as he is the one whose wife that he loves went missing. It is necessary for him to conduct his personal and professional business and important to his daughters. And much of it is very expensive and could assist Barry in getting some of the financial damage caused by the prosecution's misconduct. And this does not even take into consideration, Your Honor, how they have treated Barry's property. They used substantial permanent marker on his cars, on his couches in his home and furniture, and tore out the Range Rover and truck computers and returned them both laying on the front seat in June 2020 without putting them back in place, costing Barry Morphew nearly $15,000 to repair. The court should hold to the standard as set. Take into account the prosecution's many false assertions before Mr. Morphew's arrest, during the pendency of the case, and the false assertions made to dismiss this case. If the court does not grant our request because they defaulted in not answering to their need for the 97 items after we filed our motion on May 26, 2022, we ask the court not extend this hearing as an additional cost to Mr. Morphew and hold the prosecution to identify today why each and every single one of the 97 items are linked to criminal activity and cannot be returned to Mr. Morphew in violation of his constitutional rights. Mr. Morphew's property has been seized and held for 2.5 years. They've had plenty of time. And 6 months after they dismissed the case, because of their misconduct and false claims that they were going to find her body when the snow melted. They're holding his property without due process of law in violation of the United States Constitution, and they all should be ordered to be returned. Thank you for giving me that time, Your Honor.
You would limit your response to the issue before the court.
Absolutely, Your Honor. Absolutely. I had forgotten. Sometimes things can go off the rails into rehashing issues that really are not relevant.
It's so nice to have a real attorney in the room for Suzanne. I was there for the preliminary. It was like a comedy of errors. It just went from bad to worse. These guys, it was crazy. This guy right here, this one, he knows what he's doing. He's the real deal. He's from outside of Chaffee County.
Judge, the standard is pretty simple. I mean, the standard is cited by the defense.
And I want you to look at Iris, because Iris knows this man. They're both practicing in Denver together. He was working at the state level on criminal investigations for the state. He's done special work with judges. He's done federal work. He's a real live attorney. And Iris, super lawyer. She knows it. She knows it. Look, where's all of her bravado? You remember how she holds her head up, she rolls her eyes, throws her head around? If you could see her in a courtroom, it's like watching a Lipanzer stallion prance around the arena. I mean, she is showy. She holds those shoulders back. She keeps her hands on her hips. She stands there throwing her hip out of joint. She'll turn around and look at the judge with great disdain. Not today. Not today, right, Iris? Or Barry is undressing during, the Zoom meeting that he's on so that he can be a part of the court proceedings. Maybe he got a little bored, or maybe it's just hot. Maybe he just needs some air, and she can't tear her eyes away. I don't know what's going on, but something interesting is down there in front of her.
Needs to follow. Every single one of the cases cited by the defense are cases that were already done for whatever reason, not guilty at trial or pleas. That is not the posture of this case. And even in the cases cited by the defense, I think they made this distinction, even though it was not specifically outlined. In People versus White, 701 Pacific 2nd, 870, the Colorado Court of Appeals case from 1985, the court stated that the evidence they were talking about was evidence against which no evidence in People versus Arthur.
Take it all off, Barry.
Court of Appeals, 2007.
Iris can't get enough.
That's not this case at this point. And in People versus Small, 631 Pacific 2nd, 148, our Supreme Court from 1981, we talk about when a case has been taken without prejudice, dismissed without prejudice, you take it back to the same condition as before the case was filed. So despite Ms. Eaton's protestations, we are at the place whereas before the defendant was arrested on this case. So what does that mean? That means, Judge, the question is only, do the people have a need and an interest in these items? And yes, we do have that interest. We have the interest to preserve evidence for future prosecution, whether that's for future testing or future entry into trial. We're not destroying the evidence, which was some of the issues with the cases cited by the defense. At times there was guns or things like that was going to be destroyed. In fact, the sheriff's office wants to keep this. They need to keep this. We're going to be preserving. And specifically, I will say, yeah, we don't know what we need it for at this time, Your Honor. And that is something that is okay after we have seized property. There is nothing that says that we cannot do that. If we give away the guns and we find Suzanne's body and there's a bullet in it, potentially we would need to not more than just take fingerprints of it, not more than swallow it, but actually fire the gun to test it forensically.
Thank you,
At the
sir.
time, absolutely. I said I didn't believe she'd been shot, but you know what, Judge, I've been wrong before. And I hate to give away a murder weapon because I was wrong months before we knew what all the evidence was.
Thank you
The
for being a
computers and the
real
phones, which
attorney.
have probably already been replaced, frankly. Again, if we release to the defendant, maybe there's new technologies. They'll be able to get at deleted information that maybe Suzanne had written on these computers. And then the clothes too, Judge. It's highly unlikely that, again, anyone other than the defendant had murdered his wife. But if it turns out there was somebody else, these clothes that the defense is asking for potentially DNA purposes. This court knows that. He knows it more than anybody, certainly knows it more than anybody in this district and probably anybody in the state. After just recently presiding over the case of People versus Alan Phillips, where court heard evidence of things that law enforcement thought was not important back in the day, suddenly became important and suddenly became key. So, Judge, that is
So I saw in the chat, let me address something. So the question was, well, haven't they already tested these items? And obviously the answer would be yes. But I want to remind you, remember in the Johnny Depp trial, do you remember when Camille asked the bailiff to bring the knife out? It was a dagger, it wasn't a knife, it was a dagger. And on that, it was a gift that was purchased by Amber Heard to give to Johnny Depp. And she had it engraved. And the inscribed words, till death, not till death do we part. but it was written in Spanish. You hear those words and you think, oh, well, you know, she got him a gift. But when you see the dagger, when you see the size of the blade, the jury, they said the jury kind of recoiled. Some of them kind of lifted their eyebrows like, what? Like Camille had really done a great job of eliciting from Amber, oh, I was so afraid of Johnny. He was so abusive. He was so mean. He hurt me. He punched me. He kicked me, blah, blah, blah. And then this woman who's living in total abject fear for her life bought him a dagger that said, oh, we're going to be together until you kill me with this dagger? Really? No, that's simply not believable. In fact, the psychologist looked at that moment as one where she, as the abuser, was controlling him. He's a pacifist. He doesn't get into the fray. She gives him a dagger with the warning that the only way he's going to get away from her is going to be if there's death. That was part of her femme fatale kind of bullshit that she had going on, in my opinion. So having that dagger and being able to set up a scenario where you would say, oh, I'm so afraid. I'm so scared of Johnny. And I bought him a gift. And here it is. When those jurors saw that dagger, that she was done. That was I believe that was the moment where things really solidified for the people in the jury that, yes, this woman is absolutely capable of bullshit. No way is an abused woman who's being threatened with death, who's being arred, who's being beaten, no way would she purchase a knife big enough to do enough tissue damage that you could be killed with one stab. That doesn't happen when somebody is being abused. In fact, people that are being abused will tell you that they will do things like the husband keeps a loaded weapon in the closet and they'll go in and they'll remove the bullets without the husband knowing, or they'll hide the box of ammunition. I've seen that before. No, if you're living with a monster, you are focused on survival. When they start raging against you, you go into a fetal position and cover your head, all for survival. And people say, well, why didn't you get up and run out? Because you learn to hide and protect your head and your body as well as you can. No. So the fact that, again, legally, when they said without prejudice, I'm going to be willing to bet that Barry and Iris' blood ran cold. When they said without prejudice, I bet both of them just felt their heart sink, because all that did was give law enforcement a redo. It was the judge's way of saying, all right, you guys screwed up. You had a rush to judgment. You mishandled your evidence. Go get your shit together and come back and let's try it again. That's all it was. The law reads that if it is without prejudice, all the rules reset to just before being charged. So all of your search warrants are still good and active. The information that you lawfully collected off of your search warrants, retained. Iris knows that.
Is why we need these, we need to keep this evidence. And as I mentioned before, yeah, we did give this pass. When they gave us something specific and said, hey, look, they filed a motion. They had to file the motion. Because Tom's right. They had to file the motion. But we did give that back. If she had said something to me like, hey, we need X, we need the tax documents, we would have taken a look at that. But instead, the email we got from her was something 4 general items, which I included in this, included as as an exhibit in our response. And Judge, as far as the guns, the defendant can't get those guns back. The development that has actually happened since the defense motion and since our response was that he pled guilty to felony voter fraud as a part of the deferred judgment consent. And under federal law, under federal law, prohibits him from owning or possessing a firearm, at least until the deferred judgment consent. So at this point, she cannot give back. It's not filing of charges for not prohibited on the finding of Suzanne. The finding of Suzanne is not a standard for giving evidence back on an open case or not giving evidence back on an open case. And yes, law enforcement has been searching diligently for Ms. Morphew. We thought.
And AK has not stopped. AK has not stopped. Barry, you're in trouble, man. He's like a dog with a bone. He ain't going nowhere.
Still following up leads and still looking for. I'm not going to give any specifics because I think it's inappropriate with the public and the defendant. Judge, ultimately, there's only one reason to keep this evidence. It is the Chaffee County Sheriff's evidence room is tiny, it's small. And there are cases coming in every single day where evidence, space on the evidence room is needed. Sheriff Speasy cannot just keep evidence to spite somebody. Cannot just keep.
Mods, can somebody go over to Matt Blanc's channel and get the link and put it in chat? Everybody that's in here watching, you've got to go over there and sign subscribe. It's vital. I mean, this is posted on their channel, and so they need that help in terms of YouTube bringing content. So please, and they're making great videos. The videos are amazing. The tribute videos related to evidence in this case. If you ever wanted to learn about Barry Morphew, the disappearance of Suzanne Morphew, Mount Blanc is one of those must go to channels. Okay. So please drop the link to their channel so everybody can go over there and subscribe after we finish today. But if we can go ahead, Diane, if you could get it, that'd be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. All right, I'm gonna be quiet now because the rest of this is so critical, and I'm not gonna be goofy anymore until after this. We finish with this. But please listen closely. It's amazing to have a real judge and a real attorney speaking for Suzanne. Let me get my sound up. Why is it not going up? I'm having some weird computer issues this morning. There we go. I don't know what the deal is. All right. I'm going to be quiet now.
Keep evidence for an improper purpose. Because he does not have the luxury of having space in his evidence locker. The only reason why he would keep this evidence is the reason why for future prosecution on an open case, which is what this is. It is an open case. Judge, we're going to ask you to deny the defense motion in its entirety, setting aside some of the irrelevant statements from the defense, relitigating things that were not relevant to this. The standard is pretty simple. This is an open case that's cited by the defense. Standard they cited are only for closed cases where it is over. And Judge, this evidence could very well become important in the case down the line against the defense. So, Your Honor, at this point, we ask you to deny the defense motion.
All right, the court's going to find that the evidence was seized pursuant to a valid search warrant where probable cause was found by prior judges in this case. and it's going to deny the motion for return of property at this time and find that it is being lawfully held for the purposes of possible future prosecution based on the facts of the case.
I want you to look. I want you to look at Iris Eaton's face. She is in complete disbelief. She looked up and kind of moved back away from the screen like, what the hell? Did you see that? I'm going to tell y'all something. I don't know who the hell Barry Morphew is, but I am beginning to think that he's not just some broken down old baseball player. Something else tells me old Barry has something about Barry that makes people nervous. Isn't that interesting? I was trying to think about it. You know, Mike Pence is from Indiana, right? He's a very, very powerful person. And I thought, well, you know, there's so many connections with Purdue, and the Pence family are big with the whole Purdue stuff. Is that a potential? I don't know. This is, as Gray Hughes says, this is wild speculation. Like, this is 100% coming from the deep, dark, scary recesses of my mind. You know, it's a place where most people don't want to go. You know what I mean? We sometimes we think up some weird stuff there. It's amusing, it's entertaining, but a lot of people are like, "Ooh, that's a dangerous thought there, Jules." That's okay. I'm kind of a dangerous kind of girl. You know what I mean?
This court will not be, unless something else happens, will not be presiding over the case in the future, because I have mandatory retirement facing me in the next 2 weeks.
Now listen.
So another judge would be assigned to hear the case unless I come back in a capacity other than a state judge, possibly a senior judge, which we'll see how that happens. What happens with that?
Yeah. Yeah, Iris, that got your attention, didn't it, babe? Huh? You looking up? You're like, what? Huh? What? Well, I know we didn't have him in our pocket, but they said that he was going to be gone in 2 weeks. What do you mean you may be back? What? Special what? What? Huh? Well, and right now, this is the part right here where Barry started putting his clothes back on. You know what I mean? This was the part where, you know, you started hearing that, turn out the lights, the party's over. You know, I'm going to think that AK and JoJo, all of their friends that have been petitioning the state of Colorado, federal investigators, trying to find out if Chaffee County, the legal system coming out of Denver, if there needs to be a little bit of oversight, possibly some sort of investigation into corruption, maybe unrelated to the Barry Morphew case. Maybe this judge, maybe he's retiring for a reason. And maybe we will see him back when Barry is charged again.
Is denied. Thank you very much for your time, everyone. We'll be in recess.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Look at Iris. Look at Iris. Love it. Love it. Okay. So, what do you guys think? What do you think? You can't find his. Uh-oh. What's going on? That sounds like Matt Blanc's channel. Hold on. Yeah, that's it. Hold on. got some weird. I'm having serious computer problems right now. That's very strange. Okay. All right. No, Pam, you brighten my day. I am so grateful for you guys to be here with me and sharing in this beautiful moment. And can we all type in hashtag justice for Suzanne? Can we do that? We got 100 people in here. We should have 100 hashtag justice for Suzanne. It's necessary. I don't mind saying it, right? I grieved. It's a little weird. I don't mind acknowledging it and admitting. I didn't know Suzanne, but I know a lot of women in her situation. I know a lot of women that were in horribly abusive situations, women that chose to live with the daily beatings just to keep their kids in a good school district. Women that stay in abusive, controlling, powerless marriages just to stop from being homeless. I know a lot of these women. And consequently, I've had run-ins with some of these men. It's one of the reasons why I can still carry, for my own safety, because these people, these controlling people, don't particularly like it when you're helping their victim get strong and find a way into a safer, better quality of life. You know what I mean? So, if something happens, I can call the cops and say, hey, I need some help. And they know what's going on. So I think Suzanne represented something for me, and I'm sure for many of you guys as well. She has become symbolic where the domestic violence is concerned. It's symbolic. There are many people that were angry at the two girls because they felt like the two girls turned their back on their mom, they stood up in support of the abuser. But can I ask you a question, if we can be absolutely honest here? If Suzanne is a grown woman with lots of money at her disposal and a great family that loved her, would have supported her, best friend, if she couldn't find her way out of his clutches, how would you expect two young girls to do that? How? You see what Barry is capable of doing. The evidence against that man was sufficient. It was beyond a reasonable doubt. It was very clear that something terrible happened. He did some very strange things with his truck. All that crap doesn't happen, coincidentally. 102 different coincidences in the same 24-hour period. I doubt that, Barry. Now, people may not really know what your magic is, Barry, but I think everybody is pretty well convinced that magic isn't real. It's usually just cloaks, distraction, payoffs, corruption. So, what's the possibility that the two girls are simply afraid and they're just trying to survive? They have to show support for him. Do you know how many women, the men that beat them, cut them, abuse them, they finally end up in jail, and you think finally this woman will find her story, she'll find her voice, she'll find her courage, but they don't. You know why? Because they come to believe that their monster is capable of convincing anyone what a good guy they are. No. I know he's gonna get out. No, he tried to kill you. It's attempted murder. No, you don't understand. You don't know him. The charges won't stick. I promise you. But they will stick. I know they will. Look at this. No, Dr. Blah, blah. They're not going to. You watch. And 9 times out of 10, they're right. So be very careful about placing blame on these family members or friends, and you think, wow, why aren't they being more pro-social, be more forceful? Why? Because they're scared, y'all. However, I liked the tone of this judge. I liked the reaction that I saw from Iris. That was a good thing to see her surprised. Hey, Mark, welcome. What do you think, Mark? That is a real attorney and a real judge, right? Finally get to see some justice come out of that courtroom where Suzanne's concerned. It's just awful. It's just terrible. But I also like very much that the judge was very clear, and he named Barry the primary suspect. I liked that. I like how quickly he shot her down for the whole, expanded media coverage. She was shocked. This is a woman doesn't lose her composure. I'm telling you, I've seen her in action. This is a woman who is used to being in control. She lords over people. She busts through with movement and action and intensity, and it makes everybody else sort of cower back and quiet. No, she was rattled. She was rattled. Until you are living in fear, never judge. Absolutely, Lene. Absolutely. Yeah. So, we've got to, at this point now, I'm feeling really hopeful that they have a plan and they're moving forward. I think we're going to see him charged. I do. I believe that. So let's keep our fingers, because I haven't felt hopeful in a very long time about this. I felt like the fix was in. It was a done deal. And whoever the guy is, he must have some sort of control or power or valued. It may be one of those situations where he is just valuable to some very powerful person. It could be a situation like that. We don't know. But clearly he's almost like an untouchable, which is weird, right? He's just an old broken down baseball player for all intent purposes. Seemed to rack up on a lot of money. It's weird. It's weird. The man can barely get a sentence out of his head. It's just strange. But here we are. I am hopeful after seeing this. And I think we have to just keep it foremost in our head, justice for Suzanne. We've got to just positive energy that this thing is going to, move forward. I'd love to put posters all over the area. Barry is with Suzanne's picture on every light post, tree, store for the holidays. I live far, but hopefully someone can do that. Yeah, I'll tell you what, Lisa, she had a great group of friends in Colorado, or has a great group of friends in Colorado. They did not miss a single day in the courtroom. They are committed. They are committed to justice for her. They really are. So I think there will be, I think Suzanne, her countenance will be a constant in the social fabric of Salida. I think people will always keep her front and center. They all knew, y'all. They all knew that he was a dangerous guy. They all knew. And it's not there. They don't, the citizens of Salida, the people that knew them and socialized with them, it's not their responsibility. There was literally not anything that could have been done. Nobody could have stepped in and said, hey, Suzanne, we believe your husband is a killer. You should, leave and we'll protect you. That there was literally nothing that could have been done by the people, but the people that were around, they knew Barry was off. They talked to me, not all of them, but a couple of people that were main players in this. They said, we knew he's different. He's got an intensity. It's a scary feeling when he's around. You can't relax. They knew. So I don't know. He's a hunter. What does he hunt and supply to the powerful that's so darn special? See, Kathy, you got one of those dark and spooky places in your brain too, don't you? Uh-huh. Yeah. So there's something about Barry. Something about Barry. So I don't know. There's nothing to be done, Pamela. Y'all just don't get it, man. The law is written to protect the criminal. That is it. It's terrible. Yeah, he does. And that's kind of what I've decided, Ceresia. He knows somebody. He knows something important. He does something for someone important. I believe that. Yeah. Her friend was absolutely supportive. Her family was supportive. Her brother. I think once Suzanne came clean to her sister, then that relationship changed, and everybody was trying to help her. Even her daughter. Never forget that. Never forget that Suzanne's teenage daughter, her 16-year-old daughter, who was living in the home of her boyfriend. What does that tell you, people? Her 16-year-old daughter that talked to her every day told her, Mom, leave and don't tell him you're leaving. Everybody knew that Barry was controlling. Everybody knew that he would twist off. Everybody knew. All right. Well, Diane, do you remember the video that I did? And maybe I'll repurpose that and we'll show it again. Do you remember that video that I did about 6 months ago? The mortician, that they went in and they found all of these bodies and they weren't identified. Do you remember that? And that guy did work in Chaffee County. I know, Kathy, you have a dark and spooky place too. When I realized my 4-year-old was creating a diversion upstairs to get me away from her dad, I left and never looked back. Perfect example, hybrid. Our kids don't live in a bubble. If there's abuse going on in the home, those kids know it. And it can leave terrible scars. And the fact that you found your courage, you found your strength, and you found safety, and you showed her, there's limits. Don't allow anybody to treat you that way. So good for you. You may have saved her life. Oh, really? Yeah, I'll go find that video and we can maybe we'll do it tonight. I'll show the video about the mortician and everything, and we'll do it like I'm doing a reaction video to it, and so it'll be like repurposed content. On the YouTube, you can't just play the same video again. Like you'll get in trouble for that. So, but I can do it as a live and do a reaction to it. That was my turning point, my red line. Very good, Hybrid. Really proud of you. It's hard. It's scary. It's scary as hell to be in that situation. It really is. Pam also has those dark and spooky thoughts. Absolutely. AK found a spot of interest on the property. He put a lot of hours into looking at the details of the bobcat. I just don't understand why the new homeowners are not allowing searches. What? They're not allowing, really? Man. Well, yeah, but you know what? If they need to, they can get a search warrant. All right. All right, people. Y'all are so awesome. We have a great community, don't we? This is a great way to start hump day. It's Wednesday. Whoop, 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 whoop. This is one of my easy days. Hey, Meezer Mom. How are you doing? Okay. So my computer is wonky. I can't do anything like search or click and paste, nothing like that. And so I did a new virus protector, and I think I've got some settings wrong. So I will. I'm telling you, please go to Matt Blanc's website, and not his website, the YouTube channel. Subscribe and watch some of the content, because it's wonderful. It's great content. Okay. I hope they do too, Bernice. I really do. And I'll tell you what I really hope, Bernice. I hope she's alive and well and living, in Machu Picchu in Peru. I mean, I hope that, we all get this magnificent surprise. But I think that's so highly unlikely. And the reason I think it's highly unlikely is because of the evidence. So, at the very least, I hope they get him. I hope they get him. I really do. I really do. Okay, peeps. You guys have a lovely hump day. And we'll do the video later today, like in the evening, or not evening. It'll probably be like 3. No, it's gonna be later than that. Shoot. I don't know if it's going to be today. Actually, I forgot about something. We'll see. I'll put up a thing to say when we're going to do it. Okay. Because I just remember something I have to do. Y'all have a wonderful day. It was great to start the day with you. I don't know if y'all can hear Barry behind bars, but he's crying like he's afraid.